Hey everybody, this is Perch, and this is, I'm going to have to be careful with how I put this video out because we're touching on a part of comic history that probably was weird at the time. Sorry, let me just start over again. Was definitely weird at the time, but as time has gone on, has just gotten a little weirder. And so what I'm talking about here is this old storyline with Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, and Aricia. So Aricia was an alien character. Aricia Rarab, which is, for trivia's sake, is Mike Barr's last name spelled backwards, which was apparently a fun little kind of tidbit. So Barr has stated that Aricia the intention was to make the Green Lantern Corps' own Kitty Pryde, so kind of a young teenage character, like Teen Lantern in a lot of ways. But maybe this is where they're going with the Teen Lantern storyline. I don't know. I mean, but maybe Bendis has got a trick up his sleeve with all that stuff. Anyway, this was one of those things where the character came out and clearly was intended to be this kind of young, plucky, again, clearly a kid. And Barr seemed to basically set her up as being kind of a surrogate little sister to Hal Jordan. In fact, he says multiple times, you're my little sister, or welcome to the club, little sister. And he's definitely treating her in a, big brother kind of, fraternal way. So it was, this went along for a while. And even at one point, they developed a teenage, what was kind of a teenage crush. So Hal Jordan quits the Green Lantern Corps, and Aricia basically whispers kind of to herself, "You can't leave. I love you." But it's definitely, in that moment, by the way, Hal Jordan kind of, when he quits, tells her, "Take care of yourself, little sister." Again, playing up the brother and sister relationship, and says, "Remember me fondly." And he leaves, and she says, "I love you." And it's meant to be kind of again, you could see where they were going with this kind of teenage crush, ill-fated, and it gives Hal Jordan the possible, the way to say, "Hey, look, you're like a sister to me, not some kind of romantic thing." However, Steve Englehart took over the book and basically decided a good way to make this not creepy was to grow up the character, meaning kind of right away. So first off, he had the character kind of flirting with her, and eventually it does come out that hey, I do see you as a little sister. You're half my age. This is inappropriate. You're 13, or in one panel she says I'm 14 by Earth standards. So but that's based on some kind of weird alien sun logic. I'm really 28. And Hal Jordan's like, "Look, you're a teenager in my eyes. You're basically my little sister, and I'm not interested in you." And she runs away crying, and it's all bad. So a couple issues later, meaning 2 issues later, Aricia basically grows up, and she basically taps into the ring to, with her subconscious to say, "I really need to be old enough so Hal will go with me. And so, make me an adult." And it does. And so she basically gets, the body of a woman. And it's like, hey, now we can still be, now we can date. Now we can go out. And Hal's like, "No, you're still a kid in my eyes. Look, you're still, my little sister. We were, I can't do this. This is completely wrong. You were a girl just like a couple issues ago. You were a young girl." And but in that same comic, Hal Jordan's like, "You know what? F it," and he just starts making out with her. And it is strikingly bizarre because this doesn't play out over a dozen issues. This plays out over 4 pages. And basically, Hal Jordan's like, "You know what? I'm into this. I like her." And either rest of the Green Lantern Corps is like, "Well, this is weird. But Hal's like, no, it's fine now. And what's more and more bizarre about this is they get drunk together. They certainly go to bed together. And at one point, Hal Jordan's conscience seems to kind of bubble back up to the surface. He's like, well, wait a minute, we shouldn't sleep together. And then he goes, who cares? And even Guy Gardner is like, what a slime ball. But they then proceed to have plenty of sex. And Hal Jordan at various times is talking about how this doesn't seem like a good idea, but he does it. He does it anyway. And this again, this was one of the weirder comic relationships, and it really. So the problem is in the writer's head. I'm sure that Englehart was thinking, hey, it's that fantasy of, a guy who's into a younger woman, and then it seems weird, but then through space magic and everything else, that she's suddenly old enough, and then it's okay, and it's fine for them to have fun together. And if you just slow down for a second and really listen to yourself talk, you realize that's not a good plan, particularly when you establish very plainly that she is 13. And also they're kind of they have a brother-sister relationship. And, when you have your own main character saying things like, this is a bad idea, I shouldn't be doing this. This is, you're too young for me. I don't like it. Like it is, it's thoroughly bizarre. Now what's even more peculiar about this, and Hal Jordan, even after he sleeps with her, is like, man, I don't even know if I'm doing the right things. I mean, this doesn't seem like a good plan. And I have this Green Lantern oath, brightest day, blackest night, no evil should escape my sight. Maybe I don't even live up to that oath anymore. Like you're having him voice over clear reservations about everything he's doing, but he does keep right on sleeping with her. Now, what's perhaps even more bizarre in all this is finally in Action Comics 616. At that point, Peter David takes over the comic. They decide to break the characters up, but not because of the age and not because any of these other things, but because when they go on an adventure, Hal Jordan is almost killed or basically in some danger, and she. Aricia's poor reaction time, basically the fact that she was too slow to do things, and he kind of shouts at her, "You stood around here accomplishing nothing. Did you lose your brain when you lost your ring?" And kind of shouts at her and chews her out, and she decides, you're a dick, and I'm going to leave you, and she does, and Hal is. A prick to the very end. As she's leaving him, she's like, I think that I'm going to do some modeling because that's a great, career for somebody who's artificially been aged up from 13, but that's fine. And she's like, I think I need to spend some time apart from you unless you think otherwise. And Hal's like, nah, it's probably for the best. And she goes, not even a kiss goodbye. He kisses her forehead. If you need me, call. She walks out angry. And that was kind of the end of that relationship. So good for Peter David for kind of steering it back onto the right path. Although, again, the reason why they did that was anyway, thoroughly weird, thoroughly weird. It went through Englehart. In fairness, James Owsley was also writing the comic for a while, and he kind of again dove right in and kept it going. This is one of the more bizarre periods of Hal Jordan. And if you happen to run into some people online who talk about Hal Jordan is a dick of a character, this may be one of the storylines they're thinking about, because Hal Jordan was, again, I'm sure in the writer's head, it was, hey, here's a fantasy come to life. But how it came out in the comic page was, here's a creepy older man who's sleeping with a 13-year-old. That's unfortunately exactly how the comic played out and how it came across. And this was part of DC's canon. So, probably not a good idea. Anyway, And that's just a little bit of crazy DC history in case you haven't heard it. And there's a lot more nuance to all this. And I'm sure some people will, in the comments, come in to fill in some more of those creepy gaps. But this was certainly not Hal Jordan's finest moment or DC's. And definitely a case where just bad idea is the best way to put it. Anyway, let me know if you remember this. If right now you're like, what Hal did what? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, as always, thanks for listening.